The morning sun cast long shadows across the pristine white buildings of New Geneva, Earth's diplomatic capital. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the United Earth Council headquarters, watching the alien shuttles glide silently between the towering spires. 3 years had passed since first contact, and humanity had learned to share their skies with beings from distant stars. Sarah adjusted her formal blue uniform and checked her watch. Today marked the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. The Hegemony of Worlds, a coalition of 12 alien species, had finally agreed to consider humanity's application for membership in their galactic community. After months of negotiations, cultural exchanges, and careful diplomacy, this moment would determine whether humanity would join the stars or remain isolated on Earth. The conference room filled with delegates from across the galaxy. The Zelkari representative towered above the others, his crystalline skin reflecting the room's lights in dazzling patterns. Beside him, the spider-like Arachnus ambassador clicked her mandibles in what humans had learned was a greeting. The Corvani delegation maintained their characteristic silence, their pale blue skin almost translucent under the artificial lighting. At the center of the room sat Ambassador Theron of the Valdris Empire, the hegemony's most influential member species. His humanoid appearance had initially seemed reassuring to Earth's diplomats, but Sarah had learned to read the subtle signs of his true nature. The way his golden eyes never blinked, how his movements seemed too fluid, too perfect. The Valdris had conquered 17 star systems before joining the hegemony, and their military might still commanded respect among the other species. Ambassador Chen, Theron's voice carried the musical quality common to his species, but Sarah detected an undertone she didn't recognize. We have reviewed humanity's application with great interest. Your species shows remarkable potential for growth within our community. Sarah felt a surge of hope. The preliminary reports had been positive, but she knew the hegemony's decision process could change rapidly. We are honored by your consideration, Ambassador Theron. Humanity is eager to contribute to the galactic community. Theron's expression shifted slightly, and Sarah noticed several other alien delegates exchange glances. The Zelkari representative dimmed his crystalline glow, a sign of discomfort among his people. Indeed, Theron continued, humanity possesses certain qualities that would prove most valuable to the hegemony. Your adaptability, your emotional range, your capacity for rapid technological advancement. However, there is one matter that requires clarification before we can proceed. The room fell silent. Sarah maintained her diplomatic composure, but something in Theron's tone made her instincts scream warnings. Of course, Ambassador. What clarification do you need? Theron stood gracefully, his 7-foot frame casting a shadow across the conference table. The hegemony operates under certain principles of order and hierarchy. Each member species contributes according to their natural abilities and limitations. We have determined that humanity's role within our community would be best suited to a specialized function. What kind of specialized function? Sarah asked, though part of her already dreaded the answer. Entertainment, Theron replied with what might have been a smile on a human face but looked predatory on his alien features. Humans display the most fascinating emotional responses we have encountered. Your species' capacity for hope, despair, fear, and joy provides unparalleled entertainment value. We propose to relocate human populations to designated worlds where they can perform these emotional displays for the education and amusement of hegemony citizens. The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. Around the table, she saw various reactions from the alien delegates. Some appeared uncomfortable, others seemed intrigued by the proposal. The Arachnus ambassador clicked her mandibles in what Sarah now realized was not greeting but anticipation. You want to use humans as performers? Sarah's voice remained steady despite the rage building in her chest. As entertainment for your people? Not merely performers, Theron corrected, his golden eyes gleaming. Living exhibits. Think of it as a cultural exchange program. Humans would have their basic needs provided for while sharing their unique emotional capacity with the broader galactic community. It is an honor few species have been offered. Sarah's diplomatic training kicked in, suppressing her immediate emotional response. She needed to understand the full scope of what was being proposed. And if humanity refuses this role? Theron's smile widened, revealing teeth that were too sharp, too white. Refusal is, of course, an option. However, the hegemony controls all faster-than-light travel routes in this galactic sector. Continued isolation from the galactic community would be unfortunate for humanity's continued development. The threat was clear, wrapped in diplomatic language but unmistakable in its intent. Join as entertainment slaves or face economic and technological stagnation as an isolated species. Sarah looked around the room at the assembled alien delegates. Some met her gaze with what might have been sympathy, others with obvious anticipation. The Corvani delegation still maintained their silence, but she noticed their pale skin had taken on a slightly greenish tint. "I will need to consult with my government," Sarah said carefully. "This proposal requires considerable discussion among Earth's leadership." Of course, Theron agreed magnanimously. "We understand the magnitude of such a decision. You have one standard galactic rotation to provide your answer. We trust humanity will make the wise choice." As the meeting concluded and delegates began filing out, Sarah remained seated, her mind racing. She had entered this room believing she was negotiating humanity's entry into a community of equals. Instead, she had been presented with an ultimatum disguised as an opportunity. The Zelkari ambassador approached her table, his crystalline form dimming to nearly transparent. "Ambassador Chen," he whispered in heavily accented English, "there are things you should know. Meet me in Garden 7 in 1 hour. Come alone." Before Sarah could respond, the alien had glided from the room, leaving her with more questions than answers. The hour passed slowly as Sarah made her way through New Geneva's diplomatic quarter. Garden 7 was a small memorial park dedicated to Earth's first contact team, those brave souls who had greeted the alien ships 3 years ago. Now their sacrifice seemed hollow, given what humanity faced. The Zelkari ambassador waited by a fountain dedicated to human-alien friendship, his form nearly invisible in the late afternoon shadows. As Sarah approached, he solidified slightly, his crystalline skin taking on a worried blue hue. "Your species is in grave danger, Ambassador Chen," he said without preamble. "What Theron proposed is not unprecedented. 3 other species have been offered similar opportunities in recent decades." Sarah's blood ran cold. What happened to them? The Venturi were relocated to entertainment worlds 200 years ago. Today, they exist only in zoos and private collections throughout hegemony space. The Malik chose isolation instead. The alien paused, his form flickering with distress. Their home system was quarantined. Within 50 years, their civilization collapsed from technological stagnation. And the third species? The Inti attempted to resist through military action. The Zelkari's form dimmed almost to invisibility. Their worlds are now mining colonies staffed by automated systems. Their species exists only in genetic databases. Sarah felt the weight of humanity's future pressing down on her. "Why are you telling me this? Why risk helping us?" The alien was quiet for a long moment, his crystalline form shifting through various shades of blue and green. "Because the Zelkari were once offered the same choice. We chose compliance, believing it was temporary, that we could prove our worth in other ways. That was 400 years ago. Today, my people exist solely to provide aesthetic pleasure at hegemony cultural events. We are living decorations, nothing more." The full horror of the situation began to dawn on Sarah. How many species in the hegemony are actually free members? 3, the Zelkari replied bitterly. The Valdris, who founded the hegemony through conquest. The Arachnis, who proved too dangerous to enslave after they consumed the populations of 2 Valdris colony worlds. And the Corvani, who possess technologies the Valdris cannot replicate or understand. Sarah's diplomatic training told her to remain calm, to think rationally about humanity's options. But another part of her, the part that remembered her grandfather's stories about Earth's last great war, began to burn with a cold fury. What about military resistance? You said the Inti tried and failed, but what exactly happened? The Zelkari's form brightened slightly, taking on curious golden highlights. they fought conventionally, fleet against fleet, world against world. The hegemony has the numbers and the experience. But he paused, seeming to consider his words carefully. Humans are different from any species we have encountered. Your psychological profiles show patterns that concern Theron greatly. What kind of patterns? Adaptability under pressure. Technological innovation during crisis. And, something the Valdres psychological analysts termed escalatory unpredictability. They believe humans might respond to existential threats in ways other species have not. Sarah filed this information away, her mind already beginning to formulate possibilities. How long do we really have? Officially, 1 galactic rotation. In practice, Theron has already dispatched survey ships to catalog human population centers. If your answer is not the one they want, the implementation will begin immediately. The alien began to fade, becoming nearly invisible in the gathering dusk. Ambassador Chen, I have risked everything to warn you. My people may be enslaved, but we still remember freedom. Perhaps humanity can succeed where we failed. As the Zelkari vanished into the shadows, Sarah remained by the fountain, watching the alien shuttles glide overhead. Each one now seemed less like a symbol of peaceful cooperation and more like a potential threat. The beautiful diplomatic city around her felt like a trap, designed to lure humanity into complacency before the cage door slammed shut. She thought about the 14 billion humans going about their daily lives across Earth and the growing colonies on Mars and Europa. Children playing in parks, scientists pushing the boundaries of human knowledge, artists creating beauty from nothing. All of it now threatened by aliens who saw humanity as nothing more than emotional entertainment. Sarah activated her secure communicator and requested an immediate meeting with the Earth Defense Council. As she walked back toward the diplomatic complex, her mind was no longer focused on negotiation or compromise. The hegemony had made their position clear, and now humanity needed to understand exactly what they were facing. The gentle evening breeze carried the sound of alien music from a cultural center nearby, haunting melodies that had once seemed beautiful but now sounded ominous. Sarah quickened her pace, urgency driving her forward. Humanity had 1 galactic rotation to decide their future, but she suspected the real decision had already been made the moment Theron revealed his true intentions. War was coming to the stars, whether humanity chose it or not. The only question was whether they would be prepared when it arrived. The emergency session of the Earth Defense Council convened at midnight in the secure bunkers beneath Geneva. Admiral Rodriguez, a weathered veteran of Earth's last planetary conflicts, sat at the head of the table surrounded by military leaders, scientists, and government officials from every major nation. The holographic displays around the room showed real-time positions of every known alien vessel in Earth's solar system. Ambassador Sarah Chen finished her briefing to stunned silence. General Harrison, head of Earth's Space Command, was the first to speak. 14 billion people as zoo animals, he said, his voice tight with controlled rage. They're not even trying to hide their contempt for us. Dr. Elizabeth Vance, Earth's leading xenobiologist, pulled up tactical displays on her tablet. The Zelkari's information matches our own intelligence assessments. We've been monitoring increased alien ship movements for the past 72 hours. They're positioning assets throughout the outer system. Admiral Rodriguez leaned forward, studying the display. Show me their fleet composition. The hologram shifted, revealing the alien vessels scattered across human space. 43 ships of varying sizes, from small scouts to massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed anything in Earth's fleet. The largest Valdres ship stretched nearly 4 kilometers in length, bristling with weapon systems that Earth's computers couldn't fully analyze. We're outgunned, General Harrison stated bluntly. Our entire space fleet consists of 26 military vessels, most designed for patrol and asteroid mining defense. Against their technology, we might last a few hours in direct confrontation. Conventional confrontation, corrected Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's Director of Advanced Weapons Research. But, Ambassador Chen's intelligence suggests they expect conventional tactics. The Zelkari specifically mentioned human escalatory unpredictability. What if we don't give them what they expect? Sarah activated another display showing the alien species profiles they had compiled over 3 years of diplomatic contact. Look at the pattern. Every species that faced this ultimatum either submitted immediately or fought exactly the way the hegemony anticipated. Fleet engagements, planetary defenses, standard military doctrine. Admiral Rodriguez studied the profiles with the eye of a career military strategist. The INTI lasted 18 months against the full hegemony fleet. That suggests the aliens aren't invincible, just experienced. But we need to understand why they lost. Dr. Vance pulled up historical records from the INTI conflict, data traded by sympathetic alien species during the diplomatic years. The INTI fought defensively, trying to protect their worlds and populations. Classic siege warfare in space. The hegemony simply surrounded their systems and wore them down through attrition. They fought like they had something to lose, General Harrison observed. But what if we fight like we have nothing to lose? The room fell quiet as the implications sank in. Sarah felt the weight of the moment, knowing that the next few hours would determine humanity's path forward. Explain that strategy, Admiral Rodriguez commanded. Dr. Webb activated his classified research files, displays showing projects that had been theoretical until this moment. For the past year, we've been developing what we called contingency measures for potential alien threats. Technologies that seem too dangerous for peaceful contact but might be necessary if cooperation failed. The first display showed sleek, unmanned vessels no larger than shuttlecraft. Ghost ships. Minimal crew compartments, maximum stealth technology, armed with fusion devices. They're designed to be undetectable until it's too late. Suicide ships, General Harrison said approvingly. Hit their command vessels and run. But we'd need to get close enough. That's where human psychology becomes our advantage, Sarah interjected. The aliens expect rational behavior. Military forces protecting civilian populations, negotiations for surrender terms, conventional defensive strategies. They don't expect a species willing to sacrifice everything to inflict maximum damage on an enemy. Admiral Rodriguez's expression hardened with understanding. Total war doctrine. If they want to enslave us, we make the cost so high they'll reconsider. Dr. Webb continued his presentation, showing manufacturing facilities hidden in asteroid bases and lunar installations. We can produce 300 ghost ships within 2 weeks using our existing industrial capacity. Each one capable of crippling or destroying vessels 10 times their size. What about civilian populations? Asked President Chen, Sarah's aunt and Earth's current leader, joining the meeting via secure communication from Beijing. We can't just abandon 14 billion people. We're not abandoning them, Sarah replied, her diplomat's training helping her articulate the terrible calculus they faced. We're ensuring they remain free. The hegemony wants cooperative subjects, not a species that costs more to control than they're worth. Dr. Vance brought up psychological profiles of the alien species. The Vuldris are predators by evolution, but they're also rational calculators. They've built their empire through cost-effective conquest and exploitation. If controlling humanity becomes too expensive, they'll seek easier targets. And if they decide to simply exterminate us instead? President Chen asked the question everyone was thinking. The room was silent for a long moment before Admiral Rodriguez spoke. Then, we make sure they pay such a price that every other species in the galaxy sees what happens when someone tries to enslave humanity. Fear can be as effective as respect for keeping future enemies at bay. General Harrison activated his own tactical displays, showing Earth's defense grid and the positions of human colonies throughout the solar system. We have advantages they don't know about. 3 years of studying their technology has taught us their weaknesses. Their ships are beautiful, efficient, designed for long-term space travel and extended campaigns. They're not built to handle sudden, massive system failures. Explain, Admiral Rodriguez ordered. Alien technology relies heavily on integrated systems. Take out their primary control networks, and their backup systems need time to compensate. During that window, they're vulnerable. Harrison's display showed technical schematics acquired through diplomatic exchanges. A well-placed electromagnetic pulse could disable a dreadnought long enough for follow-up strikes. Dr. Webb smiled grimly. Which is exactly what our ghost ships are designed to deliver. Close-range EMP followed immediately by fusion detonation. Their shields won't matter if the blast originates inside their defensive perimeter. Sarah felt a chill as the reality of what they were planning became clear. This isn't just military strategy. This is announcing to the galaxy that humanity won't be anyone's slaves. Ever. The message needs to be unmistakable, Admiral Rodriguez agreed. But it has to be delivered precisely. We get one chance at this. If we fail, Earth becomes a cautionary tale for any other species thinking about resistance. President Chen's image flickered as secure transmissions coordinated with military commanders across Earth. How long do we have to prepare? The hegemony survey ships are already mapping our population centers, Sarah reported. Based on the Zelkari's warning, they'll move immediately after our formal refusal. We have perhaps 48 hours once we deliver our answer. Then, we give them an answer they'll never forget, Admiral Rodriguez declared. Dr. Webb, begin production of the Ghost Fleet immediately. General Harrison, I want every available ship retrofitted with the new weapon systems within 36 hours. Dr. Vance, coordinate with our alien sympathizers. We need real-time intelligence on hegemony fleet positions. The meeting continued through the night, plans forming with ruthless efficiency. Civilian populations would be moved to underground shelters originally built for asteroid impact scenarios. Manufacturing centers would be dispersed and hardened against orbital bombardment. Most importantly, selected facilities would begin producing technologies that the aliens had never encountered because no sane species had ever been desperate enough to use them. As dawn broke over New Geneva, Sarah prepared for her return meeting with Ambassador Theron. The formal response she carried was brief and diplomatically proper, but its implications would echo across the galaxy. The alien delegates had assembled in the same conference room, their confidence evident in their relaxed postures. Theron's golden eyes gleamed with anticipation as Sarah entered, carrying humanity's formal response in a simple data crystal. Ambassador Chen, Theron greeted her with his predatory smile. I trust humanity has reached the correct decision regarding our generous offer. Sarah placed the data crystal on the conference table with steady hands. The United Earth Council has carefully considered the hegemony's proposal. Our response is contained in this formal declaration. Theron inserted the crystal into his translator device, his expression shifting from confidence to confusion to disbelief as he read humanity's answer. Around the table, other alien delegates began to stir uneasily as they accessed the translation. The Arachnus ambassador clicked her mandibles in what Sarah now recognized as agitation. The Zelkari representative dimmed to near transparency, while the Corvani delegation's skin turned a deep, concerned blue. This is unacceptable, Theron said finally, his musical voice taking on harsh undertones. Humanity rejects our offer and demands immediate withdrawal of all hegemony vessels from your system? You have no leverage for such demands. Sarah smiled with the same diplomatic courtesy she had maintained for 3 years, but her eyes carried a hardness that made several aliens step back instinctively. Ambassador Theron, humanity's position is quite simple. We will not be anyone's entertainment, zoo animals, or slaves. If the hegemony wishes to leave peacefully, you have 24 hours to begin withdrawal from our solar system. Theron's laugh was like breaking crystal. And, if we refuse? Your primitive ships against the might of the hegemony fleet? Then, you'll learn what happens when someone threatens the children of Earth, Sarah replied calmly. I suggest you study human military history, particularly our responses to existential threats. We have a saying, Ambassador, fuck around and find out. The hegemony is about to discover what that means. The alien delegates exchanged uncertain glances. The Zelkari representative flickered with what might have been approval, while the Arachnus ambassador's clicking intensified to an agitated staccato. Theron's golden eyes narrowed as he processed humanity's defiance. You would doom your entire species rather than accept your proper place in the galactic order? We would preserve our freedom regardless of cost, Sarah confirmed. The choice is now yours, Ambassador. Leave peacefully, or learn why every human child grows up hearing stories about David and Goliath. As the meeting dissolved in alien confusion and consultation, Sarah walked calmly from the conference room. Behind her, she could hear Theron's voice rising in sharp commands to his subordinates, while other alien delegates argued in languages she didn't understand. She had delivered humanity's message. Now Earth's children would show the galaxy what their species was truly capable of when pushed beyond the breaking point. The aliens wanted entertainment from human emotions. They were about to discover that fury could be the most spectacular show of all. The Hegemony fleet moved into attack formation 18 hours after Sarah's ultimatum expired. Admiral Rodriguez watched from the command center buried beneath Luna's surface as 43 alien vessels arranged themselves in the classic siege pattern that had broken a dozen civilizations before humanity. "They're being careful," reported Captain Martinez from Earth's orbital defense platform. "Maintaining distance, scanning for defensive installations. They still think we'll fight like the Inti." Admiral Rodriguez studied the tactical display, noting how the alien ships positioned themselves to avoid Earth's known military assets while preparing bombardment patterns for major population centers. It was precisely the formation their simulations had predicted. "Ghost fleet status?" he asked quietly. 247 vessels deployed and hidden throughout the system, came the response from Commander Singh aboard the stealth ship Defiance. "Fusion devices armed, EMP packages ready. All ships report green status." The ghost ships hung invisible in space, their stealth systems rendering them undetectable to hegemony sensors. Each vessel was crewed by 3 volunteers who had said goodbye to their families knowing they would not return. They waited now in the cold dark between worlds, humanity's hidden daggers poised to strike at alien hearts. Ambassador Theron's voice echoed across all communication frequencies as the aliens broadcast their final demand. "People of Earth, your leaders have chosen destruction over cooperation. Surrender now and accept relocation to designated entertainment worlds, or face the consequences of defying the hegemony's will." Admiral Rodriguez activated Earth's response, broadcasting from every satellite and communication array in the system. His voice was calm, almost conversational, as if discussing the weather instead of declaring war on a galactic empire. "To the Hegemony fleet and all alien vessels within this system, you came to our home offering slavery dressed as opportunity. You threatened our children, our families, our freedom. This is our answer." The Admiral paused, letting the weight of the moment settle across both human and alien listeners throughout the solar system. "Humanity chooses freedom over slavery, death over servitude, and war over submission. To any aliens listening who might one day face the same choice, remember what happens next. Remember what happens when someone threatens the children of Earth." The communication cut off, leaving only the soft hum of electronics in the command center. For a moment, both fleets faced each other across the void in perfect silence. Then, the Hegemony opened fire. Particle beams lanced down from orbit, striking military installations that had been evacuated hours earlier. The aliens targeted Earth's known defensive positions with methodical precision, their weapons turning steel and concrete into molten slag. To any observer, it looked like a routine pacification operation, the kind the Hegemony had performed countless times before. But Admiral Rodriguez was counting down in his head, waiting for the perfect moment when alien confidence would peak and their guard would drop. "Ghost Fleet, execute Fury Protocol," he commanded. Across the solar system, invisible ships suddenly materialized as their stealth fields collapsed. 247 human vessels appeared simultaneously among the alien formation, so close that several actually materialized within enemy shield perimeters. The aliens had perhaps 3 seconds to register the impossible before the ghost ships struck. EMP devices detonated in coordinated clusters, electromagnetic pulses frying alien control systems and leaving massive dreadnoughts helpless in space. Backup systems struggled to compensate, but before they could fully engage, fusion devices followed the EMPs in devastating sequence. The first Hegemony dreadnought simply vanished in a ball of nuclear fire. Then, another. And another. Commander Singh's voice crackled over the communication system as his ship closed with Theron's command vessel. "For Earth. For freedom. For the children who will never be slaves. His fusion device detonated against the alien flagship's hull, turning 4 kilometers of advanced technology into expanding plasma and debris. Throughout the battle space, similar scenes played out as ghost ships sacrificed themselves to destroy enemies 10 times their size. The aliens' orderly formation dissolved into chaos as vessels found themselves crippled or dying without ever firing a shot in return. The Arachnus heavy cruiser Deathweaver managed to destroy 6 ghost ships with its defensive systems before Lieutenant Commander Jackson's vessel penetrated its shields. Her final transmission was a rebel yell that would echo through human history. Within 8 minutes, 31 alien vessels had been destroyed or crippled. The survivors, scattered and desperate, attempted to regroup for a counterattack. That's when the rest of Earth's fleet revealed itself. The ghost ships had been only the opening move. Earth's conventional vessels, retrofitted with the most destructive weapons human science could devise, emerged from hiding places throughout the asteroid belt and outer planets. They fell on the surviving alien ships like wolves on wounded prey. Captain Williams aboard the destroyer Indomitable locked onto a Zelkari support vessel, her weapons already charging. But her target's crystalline hull flickered with a pattern she recognized from diplomatic briefings, the Zelkari code for surrender and asylum. "Admiral, the Zelkari ship is requesting protection," she reported, holding fire. "Granted," Rodriguez replied without hesitation. "Any alien vessel requesting sanctuary will receive it. But any ship that continues hostility will be destroyed without mercy." The battle raged for another 27 minutes as the remnants of the hegemony force tried to escape human space. Most didn't make it. The alien ships that had seemed so magnificent and terrible just an hour before were now scattered wreckage drifting among the asteroids. When the firing finally stopped, only 7 alien vessels remained intact, 6 of them surrendering or requesting asylum, and 1 Corvani ship that had never fired a shot. The cost to humanity was devastating but not unexpected. The entire Ghost fleet was gone, sacrificed in those first crucial minutes. 12 conventional ships had been lost in the follow-up battle. 843 human lives had been given to prove that Earth's children would never bow to alien masters. But the message had been sent in terms the galaxy would understand. Admiral Rodriguez opened communications with the surviving alien vessels, his voice carrying across space to ships that had thought themselves invincible just hours before. "To all hegemony vessels still functional, you came here to make humanity your entertainment. Instead, you've become our lesson to the galaxy. Return to your masters and tell them what you've learned. Tell them that Earth's children will die before they kneel." The Corvani ship was the first to respond, its captain's voice carrying what sounded like respect. "Humans of Earth, the Corvani withdraw from your system and will carry word of this day throughout the galaxy. You have shown the hegemony that some species cannot be broken." As the surviving alien ships limped away from human space, Admiral Rodriguez turned his attention to the vessels that had requested asylum. The Zelkari ship Harmony hung in space, its crystalline hull flickering with desperate hope. "Zelkari vessel, you are welcome in human space," Rodriguez broadcast. "All species fleeing hegemony oppression will find sanctuary among Earth's children." Ambassador Sarah Chen arrived at the Luna Command Center as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The news of humanity's victory was spreading faster than light through alien communication networks, carried by traitors, refugees, and sympathizers who had waited centuries for someone to stand up to the hegemony. "The Malik are mobilizing their defense fleets," Dr. Vance reported, monitoring alien transmissions. 3 species in the Outer Rim have declared independence from hegemony rule. And she paused, checking her readings. "The Venturi entertainment worlds are experiencing widespread revolts." Sarah felt a fierce satisfaction as she watched the tactical displays update with new information. Humanity's sacrifice had accomplished more than military victory, it had lit a flame of rebellion that was spreading across the galaxy. The communication console chimed with an incoming transmission from deep space. Ambassador Theron's image appeared, his golden features marred by burns and his predatory confidence replaced by something approaching fear. "Ambassador Chen," he began, his musical voice now harsh and strained. "The Hegemony Council wishes to discuss terms for a ceasefire. Perhaps we can reach some accommodation." Sarah's smile was polite, but her eyes held the hardness of someone who had seen too much. Ambassador Theron, humanity's terms are simple. Complete withdrawal from this sector of space. Full independence for all species currently under hegemony control. And reparations to the civilizations you've enslaved. Theron's eyes widened in disbelief. You cannot possibly enforce such demands. This was one battle, not a war. You're right, Sarah agreed calmly. This wasn't a war. This was a demonstration. Would you like to see what happens when humanity actually goes to war? Behind her, Admiral Rodriguez activated displays showing Earth's industrial capacity as it shifted into full military production. Shipyards that had been building exploration vessels were now turning out ghost ships by the thousand. Mining operations throughout the asteroid belt were producing materials for the largest fleet construction project in human history. The hegemony has ruled through fear and overwhelming force, Sarah continued. You've never faced a species that embraces mutual destruction as an acceptable outcome. We will burn down the galaxy before we let you enslave another child. The transmission from Theron cut off abruptly, leaving the command center in victorious silence. Over the following weeks, the galaxy transformed as news of humanity's victory spread. Species that had been enslaved for centuries began to remember what freedom felt like. The hegemony's carefully maintained order crumbled as world after world declared independence. The Zelkari ship Harmony became the first vessel of what would grow into the Free Species Alliance, a coalition of races united by their refusal to bow to tyranny. Earth became the unofficial capital of this new order, its children finally taking their place among the stars not as subjects or slaves, but as liberators. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood once again at the observation deck of New Geneva, watching ships from a dozen species glide between Earth's towers. But these were not the predatory vessels of the hegemony. These were the ships of free peoples, coming to trade, to learn, and to plan for a future where no species would ever again face the choice between slavery and annihilation. The alien ambassador had indeed crossed the line when he threatened humanity's freedom. And, in response, humanity had unleashed something the galaxy had never seen before: total fury in defense of liberty, backed by a species willing to sacrifice everything rather than submit to tyranny. The message had been received. Throughout the stars, the word spread in 1,000 alien languages: don't threaten the children of Earth. They fight differently than anyone else. They fight like they have nothing to lose, and everything to protect. And they always fight to win.